Hi, I'm Cory with Neil Rudel. This is our first installment of Paterno Presser of the 2010 season. We're here at Penn State Media Day at Beaver Stadium. We got to see Joe. First time the local media has been able to see Joe in a good while. Neil, what do you think?
Well, I think Joe clearly is slowing down. I mean, I don't think there's any way around it. You know, at 83, I think he's finally starting to, and he sort of admitted that, you know, in terms of how much his assistants are doing and how much he's delegating. And he said, you know, the assistants are carrying him more than he's had to have that in the past. So that kind of struck me. I don't think he was a lot different than he was at Big Ten Media Day when you were there. I think, he's still pretty engaged, I think, but it's just a little bit more deliberate all the way around, physically, and I think in the way he speaks.
His wit is still there. I will go on record and saying it was an embarrassing question, the first question that he got in Chicago by a reporter asking if he's going to coach until the day he dies. I thought that was very classless. So today, Joe, before he even takes any questions, he says, just let me be clear, please don't ask me if I'm going to die. Which I thought, hey, the guy's wit is still there. He is still sharp in those ways, is he not?
Absolutely, yeah. And, I think there's so many questions about the team, and he clearly doesn't have the answers yet, and he may not have the answers for a while this season, and I think he was pretty upfront about that.
Who's going to be the starting quarterback, Neil?
I would guess it's going to be Newsom, just because that has been generally how the system has worked. He's a little bit more experienced, although I don't know how much it really matters, because none of them have distinguished themselves. Nobody has a whole lot of experience, so I don't want to say, you're a big-time program, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is, but really, it's going to be a trial by error.
You're going to be able to see some video here at AltoonaMirror.com over the next few days of Kevin Newsom and Matt McGloin. Fascinating distinction between the two. Kevin Newsom, I don't want to pile on the young man. I don't know what kind of quarterback he's going to be, but he's not a very good interview. He really doesn't say anything. He doesn't come across as a person who is willing to give any information, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. By comparison, Matt McGloin, and you'll see on the video, I'm telling you, Matt McGloin is a very confident young man. He has a lot of confidence in his ability. He's well-spoken. He answers the questions. Do you read anything into that, the way the two are able to handle these things?
McGloin's been around longer. I don't think that's all that surprising. Newsom, I'm sure he's more guarded. It's probably been his job to lose more than anything else. So I'm sure he's very nervous. And he's still just kind of he's a sophomore. He hasn't been here that long. So that doesn't surprise me.
And I'm not trying to read anything too much into this, but if you're like that in public and you're nervous in these settings, it makes me wonder what you're like in a huddle. It makes me wonder what kind of leadership skills you have in a huddle. In talking with Matt McGloin a few times over the last few months, like I said, he comes across as a very intelligent, very sharp young man as a leader. Whether he has the quarterback skills of Kevin Newsom or Paul Jones or Robert Bolden, we don't know. So that's something that's ongoing. Will remain to be seen.
When you're Matt McGloin, you're coming here as a walk-on, you better have really good leadership skills because you weren't recruited for your physical ability.
When you look at some other newsworthy items today, Chaz Powell is going to stay on the defensive side as of right now, despite the broken leg by Curtis Drake. Think that's a good move?
I'm not sure. I mean, I think Chaz Powell is to the point that they need to get some things out of him. He is one of the better athletes on the team, and I'm sure they'll be using him in a returning capacity. But you would think that he needs to be a starter if he's going to be over on defense.
This schedule, as much as anyone, was as critical of the schedule last year with the non-conference schedule in particular. This schedule, Neil, is tremendous. 3 road games, Alabama, Ohio State, Iowa. This is a very, very good test for this team this year.
I think they need last year's schedule because I don't know if they're going to be ready for this kind of challenge. I just see so many question marks. I know it's still August. We haven't seen them play. They're undefeated. Usually I'm trying to be more optimistic, but I just think there's a lot of question marks about the team right now.
All right. Give me a record for the regular season. 12
I'd say 8-4. That's being optimistic.
Losses in the 3 big
would
three.
be, I would think Iowa, Alabama, Ohio State, and I'm going to say at this point Minnesota.
All right. Neil and I almost never agree. But I agree with you 100% on all of that. Ohio State, Alabama, Iowa, and my losses to Minnesota. You're going to go there with their new stadium. I've got 8-4. Still should be a good bowl game. Nothing wrong with that. If you get these quarterbacks some good experience, most people seem to think the team might be a little better next year. So an 8-4 year in a kind of a rebuilding season, pretty good effort.
Yeah, but that's bad TV to agree like that.
We almost never agree. For Neil Rudel, I'm Cory Geiger. We promise to disagree more throughout the season here on Paterno Presser at AltoonaMirror.com.